Hey everybody, welcome to Bucs UK TV. As you can see, it's not the usual Zoom studio. We're out here in Tampa for the Bucs UK's 40th anniversary, joined by John. John, hello. Tell us what we've been up to in Tampa.
Wow, I mean, what a weekend. Starting off, big welcome from everybody, all the organisers, all the members, all together on the flight over from, a lot of us on a flight from Gatwick. Big event Friday, One Buck Place tour, meeting Mike Allstott, cheerleaders, big welcome from Brian Ford. That massive tour on the practice facility. Saturday, nice rest day for everyone. Sunday, game together. On the pitch at the end of the game, with great access to everyone, pictures for everybody. And then today, to finish off, a nice tour around Raymond James Stadium. Again, Brian Ford in attendance, our chief liaison for the whole weekend. And that's it from the official stuff. And that is a scratching the surface, real preview, real fast preview of that, wasn't it? Jeez.
It has been a holiday of a lifetime. You mentioned Brian, David. There's lots of people to say thanks to, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. The Buccaneers organisation has just been sensational. I don't think any other fan club or forum would get anywhere near what we received from the Bucs organisation. No other sporting club would do this for their fans. Brian Ford, Chief Operating Officer for Buccaneers, absolutely sensational. He's provided non-stop support to us all the way through. He's helped with AB, who needs a specific mention, part of the Bucs team, organising for us, has helped organise the tour One Buck Place, a fantastic meal in the facility with amazing guests, stadium trip today, field access. They just couldn't have done more for the club. It's fantastic. And finally, to meet the Glazers on the field last night, they came down and saw us all. Just incredible. Massive, massive thanks to the whole Bucs organisation.
So Phil, what does this mean for Bucs UK?
When we started running the club, the three of us 13 years ago, we always said that the members, this club is for the members, and members come first. And I'll be quite honest, when Derek Brooks turned up on Friday night, I was standing behind him, and you saw the look on the faces of the people that were there, the members that were actually out there. You realise why you do it, you realise what it meant to them. And I think I said on Friday night that a lot of the fans who are out here possibly be their only time ever to come to Tampa. For various reasons, and to them this was a trip of a lifetime. And with the Buccaneers, I've actually achieved the fact that it has been a trip of a lifetime for those members. Absolutely tremendous.
So yeah, thanks to all you members, thanks to all those that came out. Obviously for those that didn't come out, thanks for all your support. We're still going to come on to talk about what's happening in London. It's not the end of the anniversary celebrations. But unfortunately, we do have to now turn to talk about the on-field element of the game. John, we'll talk about O&D, and just in summary, it wasn't the ideal game to be sat in 33 degrees C, was it?
Unfortunately not. It's not just the loss, of course. It's the way of the performance and the method of the loss, which really hurt a lot of us that were sat in the crowd, talking together during the game. We wanted to see a performance that epitomised the passion that we have for the club, and unfortunately the players, through no lack of willingness, of course, unfortunately couldn't come through on Sunday while we were baking under the Tampa sunshine.
Yeah, sorry, us Brits, I'm sure you guys in Tampa are absolutely used to this, but the humidity was an absolute killer, wasn't it?
It was just the unrelenting sunshine. You know, I've got sunburn on my nose, and I was sun creaming up, but it was sweating it off just as quickly as I could put it on.
So I can imagine wearing pads and a lid and running around is probably no easier.
Although I would have liked to have some of the air-conditioned chairs that they get access to, and the dry ice. That would have been much welcome.
Absolutely. So I guess from the beginning, the Bucs didn't really get going. But David, let's take each phase of the ball in turn. On offence, what worked and what didn't work?
We just struggled on everything, really. Yeah. All the way through, from finding receivers. I think Mike Evans only had one reception all game for 8 yards. Chris Godwin 3 or 4. We only really got any sort of success when actually fourth quarter they were playing a lot softer and we were getting it to the tight ends. In the air we just struggled. Baker was just under so much pressure all the time. I mean, was it 8 sacks on it?
Yeah, as you said, a lot of sacks.
He didn't get any time to throw the ball, really. The one time he did, he got picked. We just didn't find any gear at all. Baker was just finding it tough to get around, get out the pocket. There was nothing there. One game, we had a few runs, we made some opportunities, but again, the O-line didn't create enough real teams really to actually make that a credible offence either.
That's it, Phil. I mean, David mentioned the O-line and the number of sacks allowed.
Oh, dear.
It was hard. I mean, that's where it all starts up front, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I thought that the line didn't perform at all, particularly on Justin Skull's side. Last week against Detroit, Hutchinson made him look a complete and utter fool. And again, this week it's happened all over again. They were coming around on the right side all the time. And I don't think I can remember since Baker started playing for us, him having so little time to do anything with the ball. It was just hopeless. You know, it was, as soon as he snapped the ball, they were there. There was no protection for him at all. Last week we put Cade on to stop Hutchinson, and it worked. For some reason, they let the Denver defence, who are a good defence, fair play, just run riot.
Yeah, Denver did. They showed up. They played from the beginning. They got an early lead. It created challenges. But in terms of bright sparks, John, I think on offense for me, the run game, it did have some times when it kicked into gear.
Well, I mean, I think we got to see what our new draft pick, Bucky Irving, got to do. Admittedly, during the second half when they were sitting back a little bit, but he showed great vision and some really nice explosiveness through that inside run game, and maybe a glimpse of what can be a change for the future. And what the offensive coordinator can bring in future weeks.
And he's a good change of pace with Rashad, because Rashad had some good stuff in the open field as well.
I think Rashad's strength is on the perimeter. You know, you see him in the screen game. He's always a great relief valve for Baker when Baker's done his usual pinball routine in the pocket and then dump it off to Rashad White in the open field, one-on-one. He's awesome. But Bucky Irving obviously showed that inside cuts and that hard cutting that we haven't necessarily seen from Rashad as much. So interesting glimpse of the future maybe.
Hopefully. And so let's turn then to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, we know the points scored, David, but I think in terms of the scheming, the players, the performances, what was the focus for you?
I mean, it sort of set the whole game really, the fact that we immediately allowed Denver to get down the field and score early. They just seemed outplayed in power, but also out-schemed. They just struggled to really, I mean, and sometimes Bodix would run with the ball, and everybody seemed to be standing off in the secondary and not going to him and stopping it. We made it far too easy for them to get first downs all the way through. They just lacked pressure. Again, was that 2 sacks in 3 games or something now? We just are desperately struggling on all phases of defence up front.
Yeah. Phil, any highlights on defence?
How long have I got? Well, no, I just think I saw Todd Bowles had said, you know, this one's on me, and to be quite honest, yes, I think it is. We missed Vita Vea big style, you know. I mean, they 2-team him, so which gives the other players, you know, more freedom, and they just didn't seem to put any pressure on him at all. But I just couldn't understand. What I couldn't understand is when the first touchdown went in and Nix was running all over the place, we didn't seem to try and stop him, and he just well, we made an average quarterback look like a Hall of Fame candidate, and it was very, very disappointing to see that.
So obviously, quarterback's looking good. He was mobile, but he was also throwing really well. Do you think that was because poor secondary, no pressure up front, a combination?
Both. I mean, you mentioned Vita Vea missing. It's huge, absolutely huge. So there wasn't that push in the middle. So he could step up. He could step up in the pocket, and also I think giving them that 14-point lead, there was no pressure on the scorecard to make him do stuff. We saw in the first 2 weeks with Bo Nix, he was very prone to a lot of errors, and we didn't put him in a situation to force those errors. So he was able to play a very conservative game. And honestly, when he was asked to make a few throws, they were almost intercepted. There was balls batted. There was a ball that a couple of balls fell just short of the DBs diving. Wobbly spirals. So unfortunately, I think if we played that team if we played it 10 times, I think we'd win 8 or 9 of them. It's really unfortunate.
Another day, so say some of those would have been picked. There were a couple of sacks where they could have just wrapped up and got the last thing rather than them scrambling and turning it into a positive play. It could have been a different result. I can completely agree with that. Special teams then, obviously my favourite bit. Kamada, John, let's say Kamada still seems to be slightly out of sync with his coverage.
It's hard to know. I mean,
we don't know what's being coached, do we? That's the thing.
No. Compared with the lofty heights of last season, I think is what you're referring to. No?
Yes.
I mean,
literally.
Yeah, literally.
Hang time.
Last year was phenomenal. So to try and live up to that would always be difficult. So I think work in progress. It's still early season. It's 3 games into a 16, 17 game season. So a long way to go with that one. That will get better.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to gel on kickoffs, Phil, because of these new rules. It seems like it's just going to be a touchback fest forever, doesn't it?
It does make me laugh being in the crowd when everybody's asking everybody else, what are these new rules? What's going to happen now? Why did they move? Well, that's the new rules. And it is. Well, once they get used to that, then I think it'll be all better. But I can't put any of that on special teams yesterday. They didn't get, we just.
And with one PAT, it's probably not even worth grading McLaughlin, is it?
No. You can't. Special teams didn't do anything wrong because they didn't do a lot. There's nothing to be done.
So we'll come on to talk about the Eagles, but just sticking with what we need to do next in general terms, Dave. It's magic wand moment, or should I magic sunblock probably in Tampa. Where are you going to use your sunblock first for the Bucs?
Well, I think they've got to come out angry first of all. They've got to take this one on chin and say it's not going to happen again. And the whole culture of that team needs to revert back to let's get nasty, let's get out there and let's fight.
So aggression, but controlled aggression. Just come. I think it's because you were saying they started so slowly against the Broncos. They need to find some instant impetus.
I think just as the press conference said, I think the Broncos literally just wanted it more on this Sunday, and next Sunday is our turn.
Phil, what's your key focus for the week ahead?
I think it's the same as what Dave said, but I do think they need to look at themselves in the mirror of this one. I think everybody was saying, it's the Broncos, we'll be all right, no problem. And very quickly we realised we were 14 points down, and it was like they were in shell shock. What do we do now? What's plan B? Well, they didn't seem to have a plan B. And the Broncos, let's be quite honest, the Broncos were in control of the game the whole game. And they, like Dave said, they've got to look at themselves and say, whoa, we've got to get the same attitude as we had at the Detroit game, or even the Washington game. We really have got to take that on the chin, look at, and just put it out and move on, but learn from it.
So intensity and focus and learning.
Yeah, got to learn from that.
And John?
For me it's down to the coaching staff.
Yeah.
The drive that they managed to motivate into the players into that Detroit game, using the bulletin board material. All the experts are against you. Everyone thinks you're going to lose in Detroit, and we came out and really wanted it. And whereas this week was the polar opposite, the antithesis. All the experts are like, okay, Tampa, you're gonna absolutely kill them. It's going to be nice and easy. And unfortunately, I feel like that message got into the players, and we took it easy. And the NFL is a league where you cannot afford to take it easy against any team, as we've just seen.
No bad teams. So, we might joke and jest, but the NFL does a lot for parity to keep things fair. Any team can win any given Sunday, exactly. I think for me, I would probably want to go back to the playbooks on both sides of the ball. So it felt like week 1 and 2 on offense with Cohen, there was some excitement there, some interesting stuff, some outside plays. It felt like we reverted back to run up the gut, screen on 3rd and long, and on defense it felt like it was all out blitz. There was lots of pressure intended to come through quite simple routes. We weren't stunting, we weren't disguising the blitz, we weren't sending off the corner or rotating anything. And it felt like I think we can try and change up the playbook.
Offensively, I think it was down to your guys' points about the pressure we were feeling. It meant that it really limited what we could do on the offensive side of the ball, and I hate to say it. So, depending on what the scout report in the Eagles is, if they've got a D line that's going to get the same sort of pressure, we need to protect against that first and foremost. Give Baker the time, give the running backs the lanes, and it builds from there.
Okay, so that's a good segue then to come on and talk about the Eagles. There's still going to be plenty of Bucs UK fans in the stadium for another scorching 1 p.m. kickoff. David, the Eagles, they're not going to be an easy team, are they? And there's history there.
There certainly is. Yeah, we don't like playing the Eagles. Definite grudge fixture for us, and I think it is going to be relying on trenches battle. So You know, we've got to get up for it. It's going to be a tough game, but looking at the schedule we've got coming up, it's a game we've really got to win.
Yeah, we can go into 2-2 at the quarter-way-ish mark. That would be better. Sorry, that
3-1.
That would
Three
not
and
be
one.
good.
No.
3-1 is where we want to be. Exactly
Yeah.
what I'm going to say. Phil, key of the keys to the game then against the Eagles.
I think one of the key things is they've got a lot of weapons on offense, and then what do? You had Saquon Barkley, who had a fantastic, Donta Smith, Brown, all the rest of them, fantastic. And I saw the tight end had something like 170 yards yesterday. I mean, tremendous. They were up against a very tough team in New Orleans in the Dome, and they won. But I'm not 100% convinced that Jalen Hurts is that good. He's like your typical, Alabama quarterback. They get so much protection at Alabama, and then there's Mac Jones and Bryce Young. They've all sort of failed to do that, and I think Jalen Hurts has come from the same category. I think if we can get to him, I think we can win the game. But the key is not letting him play. We've got to get him back.
You agree, John?
Comes down to the line.
Yep.
Getting Vita Vea back, honestly.
Yeah.
Stopping Saquon.
Yeah.
It comes off that. I agree with Phil that Jalen Hurts, he's good on his first read and doesn't come off that very well. If you can make him try and make decisions, make him read the whole field rather than half the field, we're in for a great situation, which is what happened last year.
So just an extra half a second in the pocket of pressure, that's the chance for a strip sack, a knockdown,
Yeah. I mean, my worry is, have we got the players to get to him?
If Vita Vea plays, yes.
Yep.
I think we have. But if he doesn't play, we could be in for a long day.
But it feels like, our linebacking crew, as in not Levante but everyone else, those that are going to be ones dialing up the pressure like JTS or Yaya, it feels like they're the ones that probably need to step up, I think.
I mean, let's not only do we miss Vita Vea against the Broncos, Winfield Jr. I mean, if we forget, he is probably one of our best, defensive players, and he wasn't there yesterday. If we can get those two back for the Eagles game, I think we've stand a good chance. I think we've stand a very, very good chance. But they've got to sort the offensive line out, because if we don't, Baker's in for another long day.
So let's stick on the offensive side of the ball. David, how are we going to score on the Eagles?
I think we've just got to build some early momentum in the play. We've got, if they do get pressure, we've got to suck them in, get a few screen passes over the top, get them to drop back and add a little bit more protection and less pressure. But I think it's going to be quite difficult to do that.
Do you agree, John?
I mean, hopefully, if we can get that extra few seconds of protection, we can take those deep shots like we saw against Washington.
Yes.
And then loosen them off. So I'm almost the opposite of you. I'd like to see us go for that deep one, deep stuff early on, loosen it all off, and then that whole intermediate game and that short game will be a lot easier because we had nothing on the weekend.
Yeah. So stretching the field to set up other options.
Yeah. So I've listening to both of you two, both are saying, the opposite. None of it's going to work unless they get the O-line fixed. If they go, if you've got to stick an extra tight end in the offensive line to make it work, then so be it.
Well,
But
I think
you've
also
got to
with
give Baker
Bucky
time.
or Rashad as well. You can go max protect. You can have the 5 linemen, a tight end and a running back in to give you those 7 that are there, and you can send 3 down the field. But if those 3 are Godwin, Evans, and either McMillan or Palmer, those good things should still happen.
Exactly. But the other thing is, I just felt, coming into the season, I thought, hey ho, we've got a running game at last. And, when I saw running up the gut, I thought, what are you doing, But there was no time. It's all down to the offensive line. If those boys turn up, I think we've got a good chance.
I thought our play calling was pretty mediocre.
With plan A.
Offense. Yeah, we didn't seem to do sort of any jets or anything like that. It was just nothing different.
You mean like a sort of jet sweep with Bucky coming across kind of thing?
Yeah, there was nothing there to try and misdirection or anything. It seemed really tricky.
What would you like us to be doing more of? Obviously the jet sweep or...
Yeah, just a little bit of trickery somewhere along the line, just to try and open things
I
up.
feel like where the blitz and the pressure's coming from, we could try and do more to get to that spot. Obviously, that's where the weakness is. Wherever they're blitzing from, you're going to know where it's coming, and that's where you should target.
Yeah.
What would you like to see called?
Like I said, a few deep shots early on to Mike.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works. But I mean, one of our best plays at the weekend was that misdirection play. Was it Bucky that took it down to the 1 inch line?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, watching the stadium was phenomenal. Just thinking that it had all gone wrong. It
Yeah.
looked like it was all going wrong,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you realise the player with the ball's off to the right hand side because
But that was one play, you know.
Yeah.
We just don't do enough of it.
I'll tell you something about Lucky Irving that I noticed when I was there. I was watching him and I thought, I've never seen a running back for years have such a quick change of direction. I thought, have we got another Barry Sanders on our hands here? But I was very, very impressed with him yesterday. I thought he was probably our biggest shining light yesterday. He just moves and
Really
shows-
evasive.
Yeah.
yes. Low centre
Yeah.
of gravity,
Yeah.
obviously.
But
Very
he-
much like Baker.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, something else about Paul Baker yesterday is that one of the big things in this season and last season was Baker running out the pocket and creating something out of nothing. So Baker tried that to be met by how many of their defensive players? He just got nothing yesterday. Nothing yesterday.
So, money where your mouth is time. Score predictions, David. When we look at the scoreboard, I know where your heart's going, but what's your head saying?
Oh, and 23-20 Bucks. I'm not going
23-20
against the
Bucks. Okay, that's good.
so I was leading down the road of something like 2017. Similar sort of thought process. Really, really tight, tough game. Us eking it out.
Phil.
21-14, I'm not saying anymore.
Okay.
21-14, but the thing is, I'm not voting against the Bucs, not a chance.
I'm not going to pick against the Bucks when I know I'm going to be in the Rage Age. Particularly if anyone's watching this, they might hunt us down on the game
Good
day.
plan,
So we
good
need to
plan.
be careful. But I think really 24-21. And again, I've said this lots of times, but whoever gets the ball last is probably going to have a chance. I thought the Broncos were masterful with their time player game yesterday. The fact they managed to have all that extra time at the end of the first half to produce a drive. They showed that they could use the clock. That's something we probably need to develop on. If we can get better at using the clock, that's worth an extra drive to us.
Do you know one of the crucial things for the game on Sunday? I know I said this is nearly all touchdowns in my score prediction. Is going to be Scott McLaughlin. I think it could be a bit of a kicking game as well.
Yeah.
I think it could be a good kicking game. So if you're watching this, Scott, have an early night, please. You know.
So that's how we think it's going down. We'd love to hear your views. Obviously, we'll now come on to talk about what's happening next, David, in terms of this isn't the end of the 40th celebrations.
not.
What's coming next?
So November the 10th, 40th anniversary game watch in London at Clubhouse 5. So we had so many great fans out here for our Tampa tour, but equally there's an awful lot of Bucs UK members still sitting at home, and we want to make that night special for them at all. So yeah, 10th of November, Clubhouse 5 in just off Leicester Square. We're going to have a great night, great party watching the Bucs win another game.
And details are on the forum and in the member emails.
Yeah, so look out for the emails, get your tickets now. It's going to be a great night.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, guys. We're all off to dip in the pool now, so I'm not going to leave the camera running for that. But thanks ever so much. And as ever, go Bucks!
Go
Bucs!